মুখোমুখির আজকের এপিসোডে আপনাদেরকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি। আমি মোর্শেদ হাসিব। আমরা গত পর্বে যে অতিথি আমাদের সাথে ছিলেন, আজকেও তিনি আছেন, ঢাকার মার্কিন রাষ্ট্রদূত আর্ল মিলার। Hello, Excellency. How are you? And welcome to the second episode. I guess you're okay? You're safe and sound?
Indeed, and thank you for the opportunity to come on the show. And as you can see, I'm wearing my mask. I have my hand sanitizer here. That's the policy here in the U.S. Embassy. We follow the same rules that all Bangladeshi citizens do as far as face coverings and trying to protect ourselves and practicing social distancing. I've taken my mask off because I'm in this room at the embassy, basically alone. The nearest person is about 20 feet away. So again, thank you so much for allowing me to come on the program.
Right. As in the first episode, we have talked a few issues, and in this episode, we'll literally look into the Bangladesh-US relationship and some geopolitical issues. Let's start with the US-Bangladesh relationship. I think US is the largest exporter of Bangladeshi product RMG, but just because of this COVID-19, everything is like not in the same business as usual. It has also impact on the human life and the export and import and a lot of other things. In this situation, how the buyer and the seller can maintain some stress-free relationship? Are you looking into these issues? Are you talking with the business community here in Bangladesh, back in US, and the Ministry of Finance or Business? What's your observation?
No, indeed. And what's the old saying? Never waste a crisis. So despite the current challenges we face from the COVID-19 pandemic, Bangladesh and the United States continue to deepen and expand our economic ties. And in fact, this crisis has opened previously unimagined avenues of cooperation. We are working with PPE companies in the United States and here in Bangladesh. The Beximco-Haynes partnership is a perfect example. Who would have imagined even 6 months ago that the U.S. would come to Bangladesh with a request for personal protective equipment, and you had an industry here that was nimble enough to take that order, turn it around, and provide Haynes, a clothing giant, with 6.5 million pieces of PPE in, I think, less than 2 months. So now Bangladesh is part of a small group of world-class, large-scale PPE manufacturing nations with a goal to quickly become a major global player in the sector. So U.S. businesses are looking to keep their global supply chains running smoothly. And in Bangladesh, I would argue that most U.S. brands have actually strengthened their relationships with manufacturers as they include them in their future supply chain analysis.
As you talked about, there are some other places apart from the RMG, and you talked about few cases like so how US can really help us to improve that potential sectors as well?
There's a tremendous amount of partnership already, of course, between the American and Bangladeshi private sectors. But as I said since I arrived, there's plenty of room for growth. And that's also one of my top priorities, to encourage American investors to look at Bangladesh and Bangladeshi investors to look at the United States. So again, in spite of the pandemic, our economic partnership continues to grow and expand. American companies are providing Bangladesh, as you know, with world-class airplanes and dredges and port scanners and global payment services and agricultural products. In the agricultural field, the two-way trade of agricultural products between the United States and Bangladesh is up 42% over the last 5 months as compared to last year. And there is a long list of American companies who are doing really extraordinary things just over the last 12 months. Well, I'll just name a few. I hope people know that Chevron has partnered with the government of Bangladesh for the past 25 years, producing more than half the country's natural gas, and they continue to look at expansion. Coca-Cola is investing $200 million in Bangladesh over the next 5 years to expand its business operations. Oracle opened its first office in Bangladesh in March, and what a great step forward to use that technology to transform Bangladesh into a digital nation. Accelerate Energy has built Bangladesh's first LNG import, making Bangladesh the 39th country worldwide to join the LNG import marketplace. And those are all really positive and encouraging developments. And as I mentioned earlier, we all need to start working now on a post-COVID-19 economic recovery. And I think Bangladesh would be ideally suited to do just that.
Yeah. On that discussion, we'll take a first break and we'll come back and talk about the Indo-Pacific strategy. দর্শক আলোচনার এই পর্যায়ে একটা বিরতি নিচ্ছি, সাথেই থাকুন, ফিরছি একটু। দর্শক আমন্ত্রণ আরো একবার মুখোমুখিতে আমাদের সাথে আছে ঢাকা যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের রাষ্ট্রদূত আর্ল মিলার। Welcome to the show once again. Excellency, the Indo-Pacific strategy. Is it just because to reduce the Chinese influence on Bangladesh or on the region? Because we have seen the China desperately moving with their one belt, one road policy. Or how do you see? Because there's a lot of criticism and a lot of encouragement as well, and we have seen India is not taking part in that Chinese one belt, one road. That's a big influence in Bangladesh because they are the biggest neighbor and the oldest friend of Bangladesh. So, how do you see the whole thing?
Sure. Well, the way I see it, and the way the United States sees the Indo-Pacific vision, is a free and open Indo-Pacific where sovereign, independent nations can prosper in freedom and peace, where we can work with key partners like Bangladesh to enhance the principles of the peaceful resolution of disputes, freedom of navigation, open and transparent investment environments, and strong and responsible governing institutions. And those are the principles that have allowed this region to experience such remarkable growth over the last 7 decades and will drive that progress forward in the future. The United States vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific excludes no nation. We're not asking anyone to choose between the United States and China. It's rooted in the fact that the United States is in itself an Indo-Pacific nation. And of course, so is China. We welcome China's contribution to regional development, provided it adheres to the principles I mentioned and that the people of the region demand and deserve. But when we see challenges to those principles that have governed the Indo-Pacific over its remarkable period of growth, we do address them. And Bangladesh, as you said, has a key role to play in this vision. And America's partnership with Bangladesh expands economic ties with other free markets throughout the region, acts as a stabilizing force for regional security, and allows us to have frank discussions on issues of human rights and good governance. And of course, India has an important role to play as well, but as do all Indian Ocean nations.
Right. But do you see that when we have seen the visits of Chinese presidents in Bangladesh, billions of dollar investment, in that way, some critics say US doesn't invest like the Chinese, like 24 billions in 2015. So do you see that that's sort of pressure on Bangladesh? Because if you look at Bangladesh's geopolitically, it's a very in good position, and it's a very attractive and lucrative as well.
Yes, well, of course, I'm going to be a strong champion advocate for Bangladesh to invest with the United States, and but a rising tide lifts all boats. If you have investors come in who are practicing transparent interactions, and there's a level playing field. I mean, Bangladesh can use that type of investment. The major infrastructure projects, if they're done correctly, if they're bid on correctly, if everyone has a fair opportunity to become involved, that's certainly a good thing. And China is a competitor, but not an enemy.
Okay, that's a very good and tricky answer. Thank you, Excellency. We'll take another break and we'll come back and talk about more. দর্শক আমরা এই মুহূর্তে আরেকটা বিরতি যাচ্ছি, সাথেই থাকুন, ফিরছি একটু পর। দর্শক আমন্ত্রণ আরো একবার মুখোমুখিতে। আমাদের সাথে আছে ঢাকা যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের রাষ্ট্রদূত আল মিলার। Excellency, we are about to end the show, but I guess the number of students from Bangladesh US is having every year, the number is getting higher and higher. First of all, I want to know, why is that? It's just because you provide the best quality of education, or they can get best job after they get graduated, or they get the masters? Also, we have seen a lot of exchange program and scholarship facilities. Is this combined, or it's just a his who's choose? What do you think?
Well, one of my favorite things to do as the U.S. ambassador, as I travel around this wonderful country, is speak to students who are looking at going to the United States to pursue their studies in higher education. Mm-hmm. And many of you have heard me say this before. Bangladeshi students are absolute superstars on American college and university campuses. And I don't know what it is about Bangladeshi students. They take the opportunity seriously. They have the self-discipline. They're well prepared. And when I talk to the students, mm-hmm. understandably, there's some trepidation about leaving family and traveling to the other side of the world to pursue higher education. And I tell them that you are going to succeed socially, you're going to succeed academically, and you are going to absolutely be a star. And the United States wants Bangladeshi students. Increasing a number of Bangladeshi students studying in the United States and encouraging educational exchanges is one of the priorities of the U.S. Embassy. You're absolutely right. Bangladesh is one of the top 20 countries sending students to the United States. In the 2018-19 academic year, over 8,200 Bangladeshi students were studying in the United States at the undergraduate and graduate levels, and I believe 75% studied in the STEM fields, the science and technology, engineering, and math fields.
Wow.
We recognize the uncertainty that COVID-19 mm-hmm. has caused for students and scholars and recipients of U.S. government-funded scholarships. And we're looking forward to the day when the embassy can resume routine visa services. We'll do that as soon as possible. I can provide some up-to-date information on how folks can contact the embassy. Perhaps after the program, we could run something on the screen. But a lot of that information is available on the embassy's website mm-hmm. and on our social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter.
Excellency, it's Eid time, so what would be your Eid greetings to the Bangladeshi people? How you would say?
Oh, well, yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for allowing me that opportunity. Well, I would say Eid al-Adha Mubarak. May all Bangladeshis and their loved ones be blessed with good health and happiness. Let me express my gratitude for being allowed to be a privileged guest in this incredible country for the last year and a half. You know, we draw comfort and strength from celebrations of faith during trying times, when the values at the heart of Islam, compassion, mm-hmm. gratitude, and generosity are more resonant than ever. We've all been affected by the COVID-19 crisis. In the spirit of Eid, in the spirit of common humanity, this is a good time for us to reach out to each other, to help each other as best we can, reach out to our neighbors and our communities, our brothers and sisters. We're all doing the best we can. in this wounded, vulnerable world that we share. And my hope is that when we get through this current crisis, and we will get through this crisis, we are able to look back and say that when things seemed at their worst, we were at our best.
Right. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you for having us, and it was a great show.
Oh, thank you.
With you. And I really wish you remain safe and secure and healthy, and no one gets COVID, because it's sort of unstoppable. It's a really crisis. We get rid of this, and the world become a good, sound, and healthy place for us.
Indeed. It's my wishes. Thank you.
দর্শক, আমাদের সাথে ছিলেন ঢাকার যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের রাষ্ট্রদূত আর মিলার। তিনি, আমি, আপনি, আপনারা যেই এই শোটি দেখছেন, করোনা থেকে নিজেদেরকে মুক্ত রাখবেন, 20 সেকেন্ড হাত স্যানিটাইজ করবেন এবং এই মাস্কটি ব্যবহার করবেন, যেন সামাজিক দূরত্ব থেকে, করোনা থেকে নিজেদেরকে মুক্ত রাখতে পারেন। দেখা হবে মুখোমুখির অন্য কোনো পর্বে।